Paste it there. There. Here. Okay. Okay, like I said, we are actually live, so, let me get this guy loaded, I suppose. Come on. Come on. Respond. There we go. Okay. So, to start, I'm going to load the game, but we're not going to dig into Happy Happy Village yet, because I wanted to go over two things first. First, I'm just going to talk about this, jump in if you want to, but we had discussed separately, we'll do something else, about some of the, the hardware that the game is created on and runs on, because that sort of thing informed some of the, it informed some of the choices that were made when you're looking at the game.
Right. Specifically, we were thinking about color. Like, why is color sometimes used the way it is?
Yeah, and so basically, I'm sure some people who, in the distant future may look at this, may be like, oh, yeah, obviously, this is how the SNES worked. But at the end of the day, the SNES, relatively slow system. Slow processor, and it had a picture processing unit instead of a graphics processing unit because it was focused purely on sprites. And basically it had different modes that you could set, because in order to get some of the effects that you wanted out of it, you had to make sacrifices in some areas to make gains in others. So in order to get more colors, you may have to have, for instance, fewer layers that you could draw on. So what Earthbound chose to do is everything is drawn in what's called Mode 1, which basically means that it can have 3 layers. So if anyone isn't familiar with that concept, a layer is a plane, a field that you can draw on, and then you can put another one on top of it, and another one on top of that, and you can sort of collage them together to create something. So in this case, Ness moving here is a layer, and the floor and the store walls are probably a layer, and then like maybe the phone and the ATM are another layer. So they just sort of merge them all together. So they chose, when they were making this game, they chose to have more layers accessible with slightly fewer colors per layer, but overall a lot of colors available by merging the layers. So you could have one layer that had, yes, limited colors, but you could still have access to, I think it's 16 per layer in this mode, so it's 32 colors overall, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it isn't, but it makes it, it makes a big difference, basically. Because some of the other modes, there's one where you could have one layer with 256 colors, and that's a lot of colors, but it's only one layer. So there's limitations on what you can and can't do with that. So, sorry, someone messaged me. So, the hardware was limited in this fashion, and that helps us to understand why some things are the way they are. And it also helps to explain, some things in this game are very colorful, vibrantly colorful. And if you look at it and you compare it to, say, the NES, that's because they were showing that they could do more colors, right? Sometimes it was just, I want to make it colorful. Sometimes it was to make a point. And, part of what we will have to do is sort of acknowledge that as we go through and be aware of it, because it does affect some of the things that we're looking at. And we're about to go into a village that, it's called Happy Happy Village, but it's all about color here. And it's about specific colors. So, it's not just a hardware thing. It's also an environmental storytelling component. So, that's something that...
If I may point out to you something that... Okay. I find that fascinating, because I had not connected in your initial description of this, the relationship between color capacity and layers. And so you're telling me this game is emphasizing its layers. And I think one thing that's already struck me is that weird perspective this game takes. You know, it's not looking at things top down like in Final Fantasy. Like this is, you're looking in at this in a very, like, emphasizing your position, like in relationship to the TV, like bringing you in as a viewer of it. You mentioned that this is kind of referring to like American sitcom culture. Well, like, doesn't this look like a set on television?
Yeah.
Here.
And so it's both.
And the layers, I think, are the layers make it.
Yeah, well, so I mean, the layers can be used in other ways too. This view is intentional. They chose to have this view specifically.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that does tie into things like, it's not so much a commentary on American sitcom culture, it's a commentary on just American culture of the time, just overall. That's why you have, you know, in the first town, you have to beat up a bunch of cops, right? You know, they harangue a 12-year-old, take him down to the police station, and you have to fight him. And that is directly a commentary, a blunt commentary on American culture.
No kidding.
You know, so yes, the angle, the view angle may be related to some of the like sitcom type stuff. It may be related to other things too. I'm not sure.
We'll have to keep thinking about it. Okay, but my point is, like, to think of this game intentionally giving itself more layers. I already see it, and I like it.
Well, and so mechanically speaking and environmentally speaking, what it's doing is basically the store can use one set of colors, and it's 16 colors, so it's still limited. But what it can also do is it means that the ATM and the phone and, well, probably not the cash register, but like maybe the door over here, I could pull up a different emulator and we could actually see it. But
different colors.
They have different colors, and they have access to different colors depending on this different layer that it's on. So what's pretty normal in a game like this, if it's using this particular mode, is you'll have a background layer, which is, again, that's the store, right? That's the countertop here. That's the wall in the back. That's the floor. It's these things you can't interact with. Then you'll have a sprite layer, which is Ness, and it's this person, and it's these ATMs. And then the other layer is going to be this. The menu. Okay. That's what it is. And so the limitations are in effect here, because you now have 3 places to draw, and they're all in use. They're all consumed, right? You've got your sprites, which have these vibrant, bright colors that pop and they stand out from the background. Then you got the background itself, and you got the menus. And you'll notice that the menus are, you know, they're pretty plain, right? Relatively speaking. You've got relatively few colors, and that's because the last palette or the last layer, the third layer for this mode, can only have, I think, 4 or 8 colors. So they chose to use that for the menu. And that's also why you choose that color at the start. Right? That's the one color that they had to play with.
Huh.
So it does inform things. Part of it informs just mechanics. Part of it also does inform the choices that they had to make for the environment and the storytelling that they were doing through the environment. So.
Okay, that is. I'm glad we got to that now. If we had gotten to it later, I don't know, but it's in my mind now. I'm ready for it. Thank you so much for doing that little bit of research and explaining it to me.
Sure. And at some point in the future, if you do want, we can set up a special time and like just
play with the layers.
Examine it in a different emulator, and sort of just see what the different layers are doing, and
I might like to do that.
So
at least with like certain scenes.
It'll take a lot more, and I don't know that I can do it like with scenes, because I'm gonna have to. It won't.
Good point. You'd have to get to the game.
Yeah, it won't necessarily carry over the save state. I may be able to make that work, but that's a later thing. We'll have to see about that.
All right, let's go check on this cult.
So, like I said, first, before we do that, I did also want to talk
about the bike.
The bicycle. Because, like we said, we kind of blew past that. And I think that it's more... I think it ties in more to some of the RPG tropes, especially of the time. Because, think about it. You're given this bike, and... So, basically, let's do a real quick rundown of what it took to get to that point. Ness is 12, right? 12, 13, 11, something like that. Right around that age. And he gets told, you are destined to save the fucking universe. That messes with someone, right? That messes with your head. Right after that, matter of days at most, he beats up the local gang and the cops and a bunch of animals that have gone crazy. And in this game world, he's not killing them. He isn't. But it's still a significant amount of violence. And, on your way out of Onet, you're sort of reminded, hey, when you get to Tucson, you're basically reminded, hey, you haven't talked to your mother in a while, have you? Why don't you give her a call? You're a kid. You're a kid, right? So you do that, you give her a call, you do all of that stuff, right? That's all fine. Think about what happens when you get the bike, though. This is a commentary on American culture and how big were bikes in American culture in the 90s. Everyone had a bike, right? Ness didn't have a bike until he got to Tucson. Then he got a bike. Right? And when you get that bike, you get on it, and Ness smiles. Wide mouth, open smile as he rides the bike. He loves it. He's enjoying it. Right? And it's probably the first time in the game since it started that he's been that happy. And think about it. The longest you're likely to have that bike accessible, and this is like if you mess up a bunch as you're going through the game, is maybe 20 minutes. Real time. And from Ness's perspective, it won't be that long, because if you're messing up that bad, you're dying. Right? And then either you're going to get that teddy bear, or you're going to get to this area, and either way, you're not going to have access to it anymore. So what does that tell you? Like, what does that say in the story? Because to me, what that's saying is, Ness goes through hell, basically, gets to Tucson, gets something that he's probably always wanted, gets to enjoy it, and is really happy about it for this long, right? Just a moment. And then it's gone. And he can't use it anymore. And, meanwhile, the story is only getting more intense. His involvement is only getting more serious.
Can you imagine that this game communicates all of that without a single line of dialogue? I mean, I guess there's the dialogue of you getting the bike from the store owner, but, you're right. It makes a point of having him smiling like that. It changes his sprite. And that's the whole reason we got into this discussion of mode. It's the reason I have this picture-focused engine, picture power processor, whatever the fuck it's called, written down here. Because, the whole point of this system is its emphasis on sprite. And so here's a moment where his sprite changes noticeably, shockingly, for perhaps the only time it will appear like this. It is begging you to read this moment, to think about what's going on. And you're right, that is the only reading. Like, there's no other way to make sense of that.
To point out, that sprite, as far as I'm aware, is only used on the bike. Like, that sprite is tied to the bicycle. It may be used in a couple other places, but I can't think of them, and I don't know how it would be used that way unless they had broken up the... mechanically in the background, broken up the sprite differently than I think they did. And so, I mean, and you gotta bear in mind, too, this is already one of the bigger games of the time period, and this is, like... a sprite is actually a lot of memory in use. And I don't mean RAM necessarily, although it is. I mean, like, on the cartridge. That's a lot of space taken up. Just for what's, you know, in the stream it was like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. And in, you know, a bad, or a struggling run would be like 20, 30 minutes.
You know, I was just thinking, like, that is something this game communicates about American society, about American economic politics, about culture, about video games, and how, like, just encountering something as a game shapes your perspective of it. Because part of this plays on how you think the bike will function in the game. And all of it, or rather, what forces you to think that this game is very intentionally making all of these points is like one bit of sprite expression. It communicates that entire narrative with one sprite. Wow.
So, like I said, I just thought that needed a little more consideration.
I think it did. I think it really needed that.
Because I was just sort of sitting there one day thinking about it, and I was like, wait a second, no, this is a lot more than just, oh, here's a silly thing.
Fuck, man. That's analysis. That's text. That's text written in a sprite. Who would have ever fucking thought? Wow.
Well,
okay, I love it. Yes, let's get on to the cult.
I just need to check one thing real quick. Excuse me. Legends
An
of
ice cube.
Localization. Here we go.
From one drink. And
Okay, yeah, because this is this town is probably going to be of some particular note. So I figured that we would want to. I'm gonna do this real quick, but I figured that we would want to take a moment on this town as well.
yeah,
Because there's some. This part I think gets a little serious, and then I feel like Threed is less so. And then after that, it starts to get more, you know, more serious again.
right.
So let's... Oh, I don't have enough. I think the Sandlot Bat is just a straight upgrade.
Do some of them do different things?
Yes. There's a couple of them that are like... There's one specifically that has a very, very high damage rate, but its hit rate is very low.
Hmm.
So look at this. But most of the bats are just, they're just, you know, straight up increase. Should have kept that, but oh well. And one more check. Yeah, okay, we're fine. So let me deposit some of this just in case I mess up again. Wrong button. So let's just drop off $100. Go to save. Okay, I know exactly what I need to do, but we're gonna explore a little, I suppose. Okay, this is just some tutorial.
And a cute little rhyme.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is that a monster?
Yes. We're gonna fight him.
Wait, I have to see what he's talking about. Oh my god, that's brilliant. He's the sign says we trust you, and he's the guy monitoring.
Yes.
Very straightforward. I like it. All of the blue cult's peace and love stuff is just a facade. Underneath, they're watching you. I'm good.
Sorry, I was modifying a couple things. Okay. I don't actually need any of this, and in fact, it'll just honestly get in the way. It does actually let you choose
Fine.
whether to pay.
Sure. Huh. Okay.
Okay, Lilliput Steps is one of the sanctuary locations. So, we'll fight this guy real quick, and you'll get to see what the cult is,
What an image.
And it's worth noting that in the original Japanese version, there is no pom-pom on the end of the headpiece. And they have the letters HH on the forehead.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Which is aiming directly at drawing your mind to certain imagery. So, you haven't seen this guy yet. This is a very standard NPC. He's in all of the hospitals or somewhere in every town. He's a psychic healer, basically. And there are some things that he can heal that doctors can't.
Does he buy the mushrooms?
Yes.
So it's kind of like a Nurse Joy situation where like you identify him by the sprite.
Yeah. He has the same sprite everywhere. I personally have always enjoyed the commentary that, and I mean, you can see here, these are the doctor, right? Doctor and nurse.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is where you revive unconscious teammates.
And the doctor will heal certain conditions. Not all of them, but
Right.
some. So, I mean, obviously that is all both a mechanic of the game and a commentary on the American healthcare system.
Yes, of course. The doctor's fee.
The fact that you can only get your people revived by paying money for it, the fact that the psychic healer out here can actually heal some things, yeah. I don't know that that needs a ton of analysis, it's just something to point out.
Well, we're here to witness it all. Meager living farm. I like the blue cow. Best cow pun I've seen in quite a while.
It's a hotel.
Yeah. The weird, like, distant howling siren sound inside was an interesting touch. Aha. Ooh, music sting even, huh?
Okay, who else? Here we go. Nope, I already talked to him.
Huh. What's this?
Oh, I forgot about this.
In a valley behind Threed. Ding ding. Well, that's certainly interesting. They break the text convention.
Mm-hmm. I said no.
Yeah, so she's pissed.
She follows you.
Huh. Cute. Will she get into fights?
No. And once I go off the screen, she'll stop.
Huh. Ha ha. No. This really is kind of like, I don't know. It does look like Jonestown or something like that. A very American thing. They're doing a great job of
Yeah, and
making us look like total idiots.
Well, and also, like, remember that the 90s were... You know, it's certainly not exclusive to that time period, but there were a number of cults either just before or during the 90s that gained significant notoriety, including a couple in Japan. The most notable there would be Shinrikyo. So, I mean, they had a lot of reason to put a cult in. But that said, yeah, you know, there were very high-profile things like Jonestown or, oh god, I forgot the name. You know, the Flavor Aid people. No, that was Jonestown. Hitch a Ride on the Comet people.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Anyways,
but you know, but the interesting thing is, like, they are obviously doing a great job of evoking Jonestown or any like American style like
Yes.
revival looking cult.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how also obviously rooted in racism it is. That's an interesting choice, that they are focused on color and they look like Klan.
Yes. So I'm gonna just tell you straight up, there is no point for me to continue through this area right now. Nothing of particular note will happen, and in fact, I don't think I can go all the way until I've gone and done this other thing.
All right.
Oh, thank you. So this way goes to the sanctuary, so we're not going to do that just yet. The cave music in this game is one of the creepiest, at least in the SNES era, to me.
Unusual.
So this is an interesting spot mechanically, because these are the same crows that we started the game against, and in any other zone in the game, they would run from us. But in this case, they attack. And they do not give us an instant win, but they are not stronger. Now, there is a mechanical reason for that.
I'm all ears.
So, in this game, and this is, I don't know if this is just like a convention at the time that they didn't bother to challenge, or if it was a pointed statement, but when you get a new party member in this game, they start at level 1, no matter where you are in the game.
Right.
This is the first party member you're about to get. Well, not yet, but soon. So, oops, no, I wanted to say no. So, what this does, since they don't run and they don't instant lose, you
can power level Paula.
Yes, you have something to fight against to level up Paula.
Wow.
I probably will not do that, but it is an option that you have.
That is wild.
Because it is worth noting, Paula is the physically weakest character in your entire party.
Right.
And you don't have any way to really keep her alive through a fight at this stage, so she needs something weaker to fight against. Or you risk her just dying outright.
Right. And then she can't level up.
Yeah. And you may not be able to afford the fee to get her back alive, so.
Huh.
But by them not instant losing, you also were given the opportunity to see how Paula plays.
Test her out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, crap, I forgot about that. Drop the croissant. Frickin' inventory nonsense.
Control lightning.
Yep.
The Franklin badge.
Yep.
The Benjamin Franklin badge.
Yes. And
what the fuck?
That is also an item in Smash Bros. At least I believe it is.
Look like.
Pretty sure they added it in one of them. Anyways, yeah, so this is a relatively unique item in this entire game. Most of the time, if you want something to have an effect in a battle, you have to, like, equip it, right? But this one just has to sit in your inventory. By keeping it as one of your items, it deflects a lightning attack back at the attacker. And this is not specific to Card Painter. This is specific to just any lightning attack. So other foes in this game use lightning attacks.
Are you serious?
This remains useful until the end of the game.
Wow, weird.
It is a strange thing.
How rich and magical.
Look who it is.
Oh boy. Master Pokey.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, I'm just gonna blaze through this fight.
Paint attack. It didn't work on the Spiteful Crow? They're too smart?
Weird.
Makes sense. You can't ponder a crow, you'll go insane. They have too many mysteries.
It worked that time. Also, Pokey's sprite is actually faster. Like, it's sped up here, so you cannot catch him. Because, you know, he won't have any interaction or anything, so why? Okay. And so, I mean, like, the obvious thing, you know, this isn't a very long section of the game. It's just that it really stands out, especially this early. Let me go save. The Carpenter fight's not hard, but there's some lead up to it.
Maybe it's not long, but it's very distinct. I mean, I've never seen anything like it in a video game. I suppose there's that new Far Cry that's sort of all about, like, an American-style cult. But I haven't played it, so I wouldn't really know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, like, how many games have you played that are about, like, this frontier revival style cult?
I mean, I haven't come across any. Doesn't mean they don't exist. God knows there's a
Doesn't
million games.
But it's interesting still.
Yeah, it is interesting.
You're all healed up and everything?
I'm good enough. Right, okay. It's this. Don't need that.
This is so weird.
And one of the more interesting things about this, I think, is that, especially compared to the trip to get here, these foes are not actually very threatening.
Yeah, they don't seem to... Do they have any kind of special attack? They don't seem to deal that much damage to you.
Not really, no. They can do a little more damage than that, but not a ton. Not enough to care. Their main thing is they can call other people, but, I mean... So?
Yeah, so what?
Also, the system cannot handle this spot very well, so it lags. There's too many
It is
sprites
a lot
on
of
screen.
sprites on the screen.
Yep. I mean, like, alright. So, yeah, you get it, right?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. it might actually lock us out. Let's just say no.
The left-hand path. I don't think that's actually the reference they're making. Note the choice of word.
Yeah.
I can't hear you right now.
It's just a really strange image to look at him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's how non-threatening he looks.
Yeah,
He doesn't look special, really. He just looks like a larger sprite from the normal game.
Mm-hmm. He's just a guy. I mean, you know, there's clear allusions to some of the like different priestly garb and things like that, and the revival garb and all of that stuff, but he's still...
Yeah, he's got kind of like a Colonel Sanders vibe about him, but it's not distinct enough to say like, oh, he's trying to be like a Southern gentleman.
Yeah, no.
He just kind of looks like a guy. Oh,
And
how weird.
Also note, that fight, I didn't, like...
No problem.
Yeah.
Didn't break a goddamn sweat.
Yeah, like, this is not a hard area, but it does stand out to me. Oh, I may have scrolled past it a little fast. I believe that here he actually names the statue as what it is. Which is the Manny...
Okay,
the Manny statue.
Man. Huh. And he reforms.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's something either John or Paul said to me once, that like the thing about JRPGs and animes and J stories is that the hero doesn't change. He proceeds linearly through the story. It's the villains that change around them. And I'm not going to reduce this game in any way to that, but I do think it speaks to a certain ambition about this game. That it's like, yeah, I mean, if you separated people from Gygas, like, their nature isn't evil. They don't need to be destroyed. They can be reformed. They will want what is good if you take away the power of evil. It's interesting.
Mostly.
Mostly. I guess there is this guy.
Yeah, they do also make the point that there are the exceptions, like Pokey.
Right. This guy doesn't do anything aside from want what is evil.
I mean, like, just... There it is. Yeah. So, I mean, even here, he gets the chance at redemption and tosses it away.
And the music's different.
Also, the food stand is now gone.
Right, and Pokey stole all the food.
So, not everyone's lines change, but a lot of them do. For the moment, I'm gonna go get Paula. I mean, look, JB, you're not totally wrong on that. There is a lot of thought that Porky is Pokey. Gotta fight one of them. Hey! Nope, don't want to fight you.
To use the key. How do the other party members function in this game? Are they useful?
Oh, yeah, you have to... Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like... I guess... Are they distinct and spectacular? Do they each add a different thing to the game?
Yes, 100%. I can go into it now, or you can see it later. That's up to you.
Bit by bit. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Paula, so I can know what to look for?
Sure. First, JB, no, it is not possible to not rescue Paula. You have to do it to progress the story. The only way around that is some glitches that I cannot do, and I'm not going to do. You cannot do a solo Nest run. Even the glitched game gathers, I think, at least Jeff. Okay, so Paula's deal is she is the psychic person. I mean, like,
Okay.
Ness has psychic powers, yes, but Paula is the psychic user. She,
Got it.
like I said, she starts at level 1 just like the rest of the party members you get, and yet, even at level 1, she already has Psy-Freeze. Which is very powerful. Against bosses, this is it's awesome.
And it may freeze the enemy completely.
Yes. So her big thing is she is an offensive psychic powerhouse. At the end of the day, Ness can beat the crap out of someone with his bat, but Paula is the one who really does most of your big damage. Like, if you're in a tough spot, she's the one who's probably going to kill the thing that's making it happen. She is physically very weak. But she is kind of necessary.
I mean, I don't doubt that any of them are necessary. I was just curious how, like, distinct and
It is very
flavorful
distinct.
the game is.
The other part of it is that she gets different psychic powers than Ness does. There's very little
Are they the
overlap.
only ones that get psychic powers?
No. Yeah, Jeff does not get psychic powers, but the rest of them do. So that's 3 people who get psychic powers in the party. So this is one of the interesting things about this game. Sorry, got something stuck in the throat. You don't actually have to beat the sanctuaries when you come across them every time. You can walk past a sanctuary and not complete it sometimes. There are some of them that are, you know, you have to complete it to progress. But not all of them. And eventually you have to beat them all. But for instance... God, that was unpleasant. For instance, you can, trips. That's a good joke. You can skip this, this one that I'm about to go do. You don't have to do that.
And come back later.
Yes.
When you're a higher level.
Yes. In fact, it is potentially possible that you could skip this one and not even notice it.
Could you beat the game without it?
No. You would hit a point where you would require... There's a point in the game at which you require all 8 sanctuaries to be beaten. It's pretty late in the game. So, like, if you get to that point and realize, wait, I'm missing one. You look at your soundstone and see that it's one of the earlier ones, and you go, okay, well, I guess I'll teleport back to those spots and check them out.
Weird.
And you're a high enough level that, you know, it's a walk in the park. We're not going to do that because I find this valuable to do. And also, I mean, it's just... It is the intended time to do it.
Why not shorter? I totally agree.
Oh, usually there's a...
Oh, wow. This is fucked up music.
Yeah. Okay, no,
What the fuck? Oh. I thought that mole was part of the bear for a second. It looked really fucked up.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Cute little creature.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, like I said, you know, those crows are intended to be a quick, or a place where you can grind Paula up a little bit early on. Oh yeah, that is worth pointing out. The game, when it launched here, every single copy came with the full Prima strategy guide. Well, I don't know if it was Prima, but it came with the full strategy guide.
Really?
So you could just follow the strategy guide to get through. And that's what I did the first time.
Interesting.
But so my way of getting Paula leveled up is actually to kill this mole a couple of times. Because it's pretty consistent. You do have a slight chance that you'll die, that you'll lose her to it, but it's pretty rare. And instead of getting like 4 experience points, you get 228. That's enough for like 5 levels.
Ah, that is good.
And she got Fire Alpha at level 2.
Nice. Oh, baby.
So, 3 levels. But still, you know, it's still pretty decent. And it's certainly a lot better than trying to fight those crows over and over.
Felt strange. It must have seen its death
So
in its mind's eye.
when enemies feel strange, that means they can't use psychic powers anymore.
Curious. Does the mole have them, or can it just feel strange?
It can just feel strange, I think. I don't believe it has... Yeah, JB is right. Level ups are random. There's a way to
is that what the oh baby thing is?
Yes. It's a particularly good roll. I'm gonna do this one more time. That should get her another level, I think. Maybe 1. Let's see. Got Psy Shield, okay.
It's smart that she brings a teddy bear with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is very intentional.
So does Psy-Freeze only work against one guy?
Yes, 1 target. That's its caveat. It does a lot of damage, but only 1 enemy. It's a boss snooker. And stat increases are random-ish. Different characters have different, like, weights to their stats. So, like, Paula is naturally going to have less strength and more intelligence, for instance. Jeff gets a ton of intelligence, you know, stuff like that. But they are random all the same, so you can do one run and have, you know, Ness come out as an absolute madman powerhouse, and another one where he comes out as, you know, decent, but not amazing. And there is an item and a glitch that you can use to increase your stats as well, in a more controlled fashion. I'm not going to do the glitch, but I can tell you about it when we get to that point.
Sure. That. It's good that it shows you, and I'm gonna write this down, the world changed from not being blue anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even the cow isn't blue now.
Thank God, it was saved.
Okay, so now that we've gotten her some levels, I'm going to do something I should have done to start with and get her a couple of items. Get her a little bit more defense. Also, she uses frying pans as her weapon.
What's her best weapon called? The adamantine fry pan or something?
Nah, it's like the deluxe fry pan, or I don't remember. It's not like she ever uses it at the end of the game.
Alright. Man, it's wild how they have to carry their equipment.
Yep. So later in the game, I will stop bothering with, money management like that. But right now, it's important enough, and we're squishy enough that I don't play around with it.
Got it.
And again, even though I do have save states, I'm still trying not to use them, or only use them like... I'll probably make one right before the boss at the end of this area.
We're moving through the story at its own little pace and perspective.
Yeah, Paula is super squishy. As JB
Well,
points out. She is your classic glass cannon. She's the mage.
Got it.
The black mage, specifically. Ness is kind of like, if you want to give it a equivalent RPG thing, he is like the paladin. He does good damage, and he gets a lot of healing and defensive stuff. His offensive psychic powers are kinda iffy.
Well, he gets side pondered.
That is, without a doubt, his strongest offensive psychic power. But it's still, compared to what Paula gets, it really doesn't stand out that well. Like, the final form of it is pretty powerful, but it's got a massive cost. So,
Does anybody else get significant psychic offense?
Pooh, the last character, gets a very potent multi-target psychic attack. And it's pretty useful. Doesn't get used a lot just because of the way Pooh is introduced and the way his character arc works, but we'll get to that later.
Called? Do you remember?
Hmm?
What's it called? His psychic power. What's it called?
Starstorm.
Starstorm. Cool.
It is genuinely pretty cool, and it's got a neat effect.
Are those bats?
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to fight like 6 of them at once. So, this is another case where, you can see that, a lot of these enemies are, sizing at the situation and sort of hindering themselves. The game is still acting a little bit in a tutorial mode, and that is about to stop. This is kind of the last area where that's the case.
Will be missed. A great charm.
Wait, let me double check what that one protects against. Paralysis, bit of speed. Okay, yeah, we'll have Ness equip that. Give Paula the travel charm. And note, I mean, like, this management that I'm having to do, like, if I want to move items around, I gotta do it like this for each item.
Yeah, it looks dizzying. It's difficult to keep up with.
So, and I'm not gonna slow it down because it's already slow enough.
No, I'm with you. I mean, also, what do I need to see all that for?
So, you know, it is relatively involved there, and it is annoying. Like, straight up, it's annoying. But that is intentional. They did that on
That's what
purpose.
they chose to do.
So, I mean, look, here you can already see the big disparity between Paula and Ness, right? She's already level 8 or 9, maybe 10. And he's 16, 8 and 16. So she's half his level, but notice the stats. Like, her HP is a third of his. Her offense is less than half. Her defense,
She's
though,
already got maybe more psychic points than him.
yes. You know, so it's... You can tell where it's going to go already.
Okay, cool.
And so, yeah, you know, all of the characters, all of the main characters that are in your party for, like, the actual majority of the game, you know, they are distinct. And they only get more distinct the longer you go in the game.
One hit. I really like the background on them.
Yeah.
It's such a disorienting effect. It's so
God,
strange.
she's had a couple of really bad levels. Croissant. Oh, and one thing about the inventories to note. Let's see. Characters can only use the items in battle that are in their inventory.
Of course.
So if the person carrying the life noodles dies in battle, you can't revive them during battle.
You're fucked.
You can only do it out of battle.
Wow. Everybody has to have a little bit of everything.
Or you have to plan ahead for which ones are likely to die. That's what really ends up happening, is you plan ahead a little bit. And like Ness is going to carry a life noodle, and Pooh will carry a life noodle. But Paula and Jeff, probably not, because they're a little on the weaker side. Don't really want to fight you, bear. The bears are particularly strong, because, you know, they're bears.
They're bears, yeah.
Okay, well, I'd rather fight the bear than 3 enemies. The main problem here is that the bear can just outright just one-shot Paula.
It looks very strange. It's also weird that, like, you've got a teddy bear, but this is an evil monster bear.
Yay, it froze. I'm not gonna let the bear hug me. That's a bad hug. Okay, so we're gonna despawn those guys. Come on.
The rapidity and strangeness that the creatures follow when they move towards you is always alarming.
Okay, I'll take this fight. I got a butterfly up there.
The butterfly won't go away?
No. It shouldn't, at least. Okay. Man, another another bad level. Okay, they're both at max HP, so we'll get this butterfly. Get Paula back up. That's very convenient. That is not like a guaranteed thing, I don't think. Like, that may be a spot that's more like... Okay, it might actually just be more likely to spawn there. That may be the butterfly spot. Come on. Yeah, get stuck on the terrain. Crap.
Are you asshole?
This is not the anti-piracy. It would be way worse if it was the anti-piracy.
What is JB talking about?
Oh, this game has 3 stages of anti-piracy. One of them is just the typical, like, lockout on the home screen if it detects that it's not a valid game.
Mm-hmm.
The next layer, if you get past that but don't catch the rest of it, then it drastically increases the spawn rate of enemies in each area. And then...
What?
Even if you get through the game at that, like... If you get to Gygus after dealing with that mess, like, it is a huge increase. It's like 3 to 4 times as many enemies. Like, good luck, basically. Even if you get past that, they make it so that you just crash at Gygus and it deletes your save.
The game punishes you for piracy?
Yes.
That's so weird. It could just not run.
Well, but that's
Instead,
the first...
it makes it hard.
That's the first stage. If the other 2 kick into effect if you, like, intentionally bypass the first stage but don't know about the other 2. So, like, that was the thing in the first generations of, like, ROMs and piracy attempts and things like that. People would actually get a pirate copy of Earthbound, for instance, try to run it, and run into those later 2 problems because the people hacking it figured out the first one and got past it, but didn't bother to figure out the other 2.
How cute. It's still... it's interesting that the game seeks to change how it's played if it detects that you're not doing it the right way. That's interesting design.
That's a better level. Thank you. And beta. Perfect. Well, I say that it's actually not that great because this boss, I believe, is resistant to freeze, which is unfortunate, but won't be a problem. You'll see.
So what's the difference between Psi-Fire, Psi-Ice, and Psi-Thunder?
Okay, freeze is single target high damage. Fire is low to moderate damage, but hits an entire row. And that's something that we haven't come across yet because we haven't faced that many enemies. But there's 2 rows in battle, the front and the back. And
2 layers, like there are sprite layers.
Kind of, yeah. So the fire can only hit 1 row at a time, so you pick the one with more enemies. It's a, mass enemy target thing. You don't normally use it. And then the last one, Thunder, is one I don't really use very often because its gimmick is its unreliability. I don't like that.
How so?
Psi Thunder, what it does is it hits for, that's good damage. But you may miss when there are a few enemies.
Oh, and it eliminates shields.
Yes, and that is actually that's an important feature. That is good. So you can see fire does the least damage per enemy, but it hits a row. Thunder hits one target at random, and there is, especially if you're only facing one enemy, a very high chance that you will not hit it. You remember that crashing boom bang attack that Carpainter was using?
Mm-hmm.
That's Thunder.
Ah, okay.
So,
interesting.
Part of Thunder's gimmick, too, is that it's cheap. It only costs 3, and it does 120 damage, versus 4 for a single 180. But you're rolling the die. You know, you may not hit.
Interesting. That's weird. It seems... Ugh, whatever. These monsters are so weird. Oh, it's horrible!
I'm gonna try...
Oh, it's so fucking sick!
So you can paralyze this boss and he doesn't pose a threat at all. And yes, freeze doesn't do shit. So, they just hit the guy. I can use fire. I will, just to show you. Doesn't do much either. He's pretty strong against psychic in general, I guess. So,
can I see thunder?
Oh, yeah. Let me pop out of auto. It's probably gonna miss. Yeah. I'll try it again and we'll see if it hits, but I doubt it. Yeah. I'm not gonna burn Oliver. I guess it doesn't matter if I do. That is of some note. If you're paralyzed, you can still use psychic powers, and he just did. He's life upped. Do I have magnet? No, I don't have magnet yet. So, it's an annoying fight, but it's easy. If you know you can paralyze him. If you don't know that, then it is genuinely a tough fight. He can just one-shot Paula. Oh, it hit.
I like the look of it.
It's cool.
And now he's got a psychic shield, so you've got to lightning him.
Lightning or no psychic, and I'm not. I mean, psychic isn't doing enough to matter, so.
It's... she does all of 1 damage to him, huh?
Yep. Her smash attack does Ness's normal attack damage. But this is also part of why I do this fight now. A, I can make it easy with paralysis. B, it gets Paula right up to Ness's level before we leave the valley.
Ah, I see. Ness is 18. Uh-huh.
And he got Flash.
No. Nice. And she's 12.
She might get 13. Good. I needed that. Yeah, 13. Garbage level.
That rocks!
Yeah.
I love that. Just like the last one. But these ones are small. Baby in a red cap.
Okay. Yeah, and now the Soundstone. So you can start to gather that it's going to have a continuous melody. Not something I paid attention to my first, playthrough or two. And, this is another case where the enemies are, again, they're going to run away because we beat the boss. but if I run into them, they will still fight.
Such an interesting design choice.
Which means now I gotta do this friggin' juggling to get past them without having to get into a bunch of fights. Because they'll get stuck on the terrain. Yeah.
Whoops.
It's annoying more than anything else, because I know there's a free heal on the other side. So I'm just gonna burn a bunch of psychic points on this.
What is Flash?
Psy-Flash is interesting. It's classified as an offense, but it's really more of a debuff until you get the final level of it. It's basically like a flashbang at this stage. It doesn't describe it.
It can blind them.
It can blind the... Let me get out of battle and read the help on it, because I don't remember exactly. It applies status effects.
Got it.
It is more... The Omega version of Flash outright has a high chance of just killing most enemies. Not damage, just gone.
Ah, interesting.
Well, okay, I say kill. It's not kill, but defeating them.
Right, erasing them.
So... yeah, generates a strong flash, can make the enemy cry uncontrollably, and in some cases feel strange. So mechanically, that means that they are, blind effect, so they can't hit very accurately, and feeling strange, like I said, means that they can't use psychic attacks.
Weird way of describing the mechanics of their game. It may make the enemy cry uncontrollably or feel strange. It almost sounds like how you might organically describe something, not like list possible conditions which can be placed on somebody.
Mm-hmm. And yet they are the actual conditions in the game.
And yet they are the actual conditions in the game.
So at this point, I mean, this area is done. This is truly just a quick little side quest area. And yet, it is so distinct. I'm just going to get a heal, and then we're going to head back to Tucson. And then there's a little more to do in Tucson before that area is done, and we're into Threed. Not a ton, just a little bit. And so, like I said, Threed... God damn it, cow. To my mind, at least, while Threed introduces some things that matter later, it's not... it's not... It feels a little more campy and a little more... Monster of the Weekish.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the stuff in it, it has bearing on the later story, but it doesn't feel as connected as some of the other stuff. Like, once we get to the desert, that's going to feel connected. And Fourside will be connected. And Saturn Valley is heavily connected, but Threed itself?
Well, see what happens in an unusual part of the story.
It's also just strange. But you'll see that when we get to it.
Like the game has been lacking in strangeness. But I am interested to see what strange for the game means.
Well, my thought is we can... Oh, nope. Nope. I didn't like that.
Josh's natural nemesis, a tree.
Take an axe to those damn trees, except then they blow
Yeah, that's
up.
why you build things out of them.
Trees I deal with don't normally explode. Despawn that guy. Oh!
Man, this is a catchy tune. I really like the percussion.
I feel like most of the music in this game is pretty catchy. I don't really feel like fighting y'all. Here we go. Forgot they fight you, still. They're not threatening, they're annoying though. Whether or not they fight you is based on just a straight up, it's based on your offensive stat.
Interesting.
Compared
Is there a way
to,
that you can like artificially boost it up to manipulate the system?
kind of. I mean, like if you just equip certain, if you equip a better weapon, that'll do it. But there's not like an item out of battle that you can use, I don't think.
No like magic that you get or anything either?
I mean, you get offense up, you get buffs, but they're only for in battle.
Right.
So, I don't know if you remember, but the bus can't get through because of ghosts. Yeah. I want to imagine that it's literally just gauze on some duct tape.
Hand-Aid? Is that the only one you ever get?
Yep.
What a cute little game.
Honestly, there's been a number of games where I just never even used it.
Why not keep it? A little memorabilia.
Because your inventory space is so full.
Just dump it in the place.
That's
It's a little money.
straight up done that before. And then he follows.
Full of great touches.
So it is worth noting that even if I had not gone and fought Everdread, that would still happen.
Do you have to go talk to him now?
Yes. Yeah, this is required this time. But no matter what, he will not fight me at this stage.
Wow. What's it?
You broke up.
What's this guy named again?
Everdread.
So he gave you an item called a wad of bills, right? Not
Yes.
actually $10,000. Huh. Okay.
So, now at this point, if you had, for instance, wandered around for a long time and gotten lost or confused or whatever, you may have forgotten what this would be used for. So you could either look it up, use the guide that it came with, or just wander around for ages and figure it out. The answer is you're supposed to bust out the Runaway 5.
They've got a debt. That's right. Ah, it's the pedophile.
Oh,
I do like fuzzy pickles, though.
And Ness does smile for those pictures, but I think that it might be a different smile.
Either way.
So, JB's right. Originally, I got stuck here, but it's interesting because if you come in here, right, you talk to this guy. They owe him a lot of money. Might be here for 100 years unless you decide to pay off their debt. Now, what you can do is so you have to watch the show first. So if you don't get the backstage pass,
Right. And then there's a show. Very Twin Peaks. Huh. How crass. No. Well, he's right about that. Personally, I can't figure it out. It is way too sophisticated.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
She doesn't even give you a choice.
So there are 5.
Yep. Now, this is actually funny. Pay attention to how many are here now, and pay attention to it when the show starts.
Got it. Lots of songs about money.
And I will be right back while this goes. You enjoy the show.
Will do. There's 6 now. But look at this. It's giving us an actual performance with choreography. And multiple acts. I think I've things happen on a stage before in a JRPG, but I've never seen so much refined detail going on in one performance. I wish I had a better interpretation for what it might mean that all the people disappear during that scene. I suppose it's because they wanted to save computer memory. But I don't know. I loved the performance.
Good.
I was remarking that it's interesting to think, like, I'm pretty sure I've seen something happen on a stage before in a JRPG, but I don't think I've ever seen a performance with multiple act music and like choreography in sprites. It was interesting.
So, I think you had mentioned someone told you to play Final Fantasy 6, 3, whatever the fuck number. That one has it. It's got an opera scene, and it's like, God, 10 minutes long or something, and it's multi-part and involved. So, it's not the only case of that happening, but it's not super common either. So, he says this if you try to give it to him from the front of the desk. And then, you come around here.
They all get a line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, each of them gets to be special.
Yep. And an interesting note, the music keeps playing.
I like how that guy says multiple times, like, now that I have my money, I am satisfied.
Yeah.
Condition met, player.
But yeah, this music, it just keeps going. Now, you can, of course, wander around Tucson more, but at this point, there really isn't much more to do. There are a couple of boxes that I did not pick up, but I don't care about them. I know what's in them. So, yeah, pretty heavy-handed tells you, hey, get your ass over to Threed.
The very, like, classic tempo to the rock percussion they've got is interesting. Like, it's not like a video game with, like, these rapid, even kinds of percussion that bring attention to its electronic nature. Instead, it really seems to be mimicking the fact that someone could be playing these drums.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very natural sort of beat. if that makes sense, or at least human, understandable.
And yet, the music in this game is still classic video game music in that it is something that is very easy to listen to and not get like real focused in on most of the time. Aside from scenes like this one, right, where you're just watching. This is the cinematic, so...
Right.
You know, so they give you something that's got more punch to it.
Oh. Wow, look at that musical contrast. All right, well, we made it to 3. I think we should call it here for the day.
Yeah, just gotta get somewhere I can save.
Wow, I really like how well... Here we go again. Color. Specifically color, not just like the architecture or the design, the color and the music, like making you think, oh, this place is different.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Wow. All right, I'm eager to digest all this. I really liked the blue cult. And I think that discussion about like the layers and the colors was really important too.
Good.
And the bike. Oh man, so much. But anyway, like I said, okay, I'm gonna digest this, and we'll do it again soon.
Sure.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right. And off we go. Thanks for joining, JV.